Hello everyone, welcome to the 17-Mile Story Collection. Today we'll dive into the immortal cultivation diary of the young Zhao Sr. In the depths of the Penglai Pavilion, Zhao's son watched Li Xiang's fading silhouette, his heart heavy with sorrow. Li Xiang, his very first friend here. And now, things had come to this. He glanced down at the yellow talisman in his hand, and his expression changed instantly. This isn't an ordinary visiting talisman. On the surface, it looked the same. But inside, it held spiritual energy far beyond the usual, and worse, it gave off a faint, dangerous aura. Zhao Sen's instincts screamed at him. This was no ordinary charm. It was a treasure. After a brief hesitation, he tucked it away safely. But then his eyes fell on the corpse lying at his feet. He sighed. If it wasn't cleaned up properly, Li Xiang would never escape the sect's pursuit. Carefully, he stowed the body into his storage pouch, carried it deep into the mountains, and cast it into a hidden ravine. Only then did he return quietly to his room. There, he pulled the talisman back out. The material, the crimson strokes, every detail was leagues above the sect's standard charms. But that lingering aura of danger, he didn't dare test it yet. Instead, he sealed it away again, saving it for later study. With that done, Zhao's son brought out the mysterious bead and stepped into his dreamscape. This time, he didn't pour all his focus into cultivation. Instead, he split his time, practicing the gravity technique. He remembered how well it worked when he used it against senior brother Lu, and he was determined to master it. He began with something simple, a gourd. He cast the technique, trying to seize it from afar. At first, he failed, but after several tries, the gourd lifted into the air. Yet even in success, he stopped immediately and started over. Because in Zhao Sen's eyes, true mastery meant 10 out of 10 flawless success. Anything less, and no matter how powerful the skill was, it would be useless in a moment of life and death. But for now, his success rate was only 3. Maybe 4 times out of 10. Nowhere near good enough. Time in the dreamscape slipped by quickly. The tearing sensation returned, dragging him back into reality. The moment his eyes opened, he gulped down spring water, replenished his energy, and resumed meditation until his spiritual power was full once again. Then, with a deep breath and a flash in his eyes, the passages of the 3 chapters of Qi condensation echoed in his mind. Not only the cultivation methods of each stage, but also 2 crucial incantations hidden within. In the 3 chapters of Qi condensation, one line stood out above all others. The Qi condensation stage has 15 levels. The first comes naturally, but every level after must be unlocked with a unique incantation. In other words, even if you master the techniques of the second stage, without the incantation, you would never break through. Zhao's son recited the incantation silently, and immediately, his spiritual energy surged. At first it was just a faint ripple. But soon it boiled like scalding water, raging through his meridians. Sourness, numbness, itching, pain, every sensation assaulted him at once. It felt as though his body was being torn apart by the very energy inside him. And yet, he failed. The energy scattered, leaving him drenched in sweat and completely drained. But Zhao's son did not despair. He understood. He had only just completed the first stage. His spiritual foundation was still too shallow. No rush. With the spring gourd in hand, I'll keep cultivating the first stage until I reach its peak. Then I'll try again. And so days turned into weeks. Half a month in the real world. 3 months in the dreamscape. His spiritual energy slowly grew. His mastery of the gravity technique improved, success coming more and more often. But every attempt to open the second stage ended in failure. Until today. Once more he tried the incantation. And once more, his energy was consumed entirely. Lifting his head, exhausted, Zhao's son muttered with a bitter smile. Another failure. This second stage is just too difficult. But then his expression changed. His gaze snapped to the door. Someone was there. An icy voice rang out. "Junior brother Zhao, come out and face me." The voice was familiar. Zhao's son stood, opened the door, and there, before him, was a young man in black robes, about 27 or 28. His expression cold, his eyes sharp as blades. The air froze. The story had reached a new turning point. Zhao Sun immediately recognized the visitor. Black robes. It was senior brother Zhang, the one who had brought him to the sect and even found him at the bottom of the cliff months ago. Back then, Zhang wore white. Now, in just a few short months, he had risen to the rank of black. And in the Penglai Pavilion, black robes meant power. With a calm expression, Zhang said, "A month ago, I broke through to the 5th stage of qi condensation. In fact, I owe it partly to you. Had I not discovered that wind vortex while searching for you, I wouldn't have advanced so quickly." Zhao Sen's heart skipped a beat. That cliffside vortex. It can aid cultivation. Zhang nodded. Once Zhao Sun reached the peak of the 4th stage and tried the 2nd incantation, he would see its effect for himself. But then Zhang's tone sharpened. "Junior brother Zhao, your talent is mediocre. You should never have had the chance to cultivate at all. Yet since you're an inner disciple, you must work harder. And still, I see no spiritual energy in your body. Not even the 1st stage of qi condensation. Do you realize? Among all the inner disciples, you alone have not reached it." Zhao Sen's heart jolted, but outwardly he forced a smile. "Thank you for the lesson, senior brother. I will work twice as hard." Then, to deflect, he asked Zhang's reason for coming. Zhang smiled faintly. "Nothing major. A registered disciple from the chores department has gone missing. Someone saw you there that day, so I came to ask." Unfazed, Zhao Sun replied, "I remember. That disciple insulted me, so I taught him a small lesson. Perhaps he feared I'd retaliate, and simply left the sect." Zhang gave him a knowing glance, then continued, "There's something else. The sect leader and elders have decided the chores department can no longer be run by registered disciples. An inner disciple must take charge. But none of the others want the post. They're too focused on cultivation. So..." Zhao Sun sighed bitterly. "So it's me, isn't it?" Zhang smiled, nodding. "Pack up. From today, the chores department is yours to manage." With that, light flared beneath Zhang's feet. A gleaming sword appeared, carrying him away in a streak of rainbow light, vanishing into the horizon. Left alone, Zhao Sen's expression darkened. The chores department was the last place he wanted to be. Too many people, too many eyes, too many chances for his secret to be exposed. Worse, the endless busywork would rob him of time to cultivate. But he had no choice. Clenching his teeth, he muttered, "Fine. If I must go, then I'll make a mess of it. Let the registered disciples themselves beg the sect leader to replace me." And thus, another turning point in his journey was set in motion. Having made up his mind, Zhao Sun tidied up the Lu youth's quarters. In the end, he left nothing but a bed and a table. Everything else was thrown into the courtyard as worthless clutter. As he worked, disciples began to arrive one after another. Word had already spread that Zhao Sun was taking over the chores office. Uneasy looks spread across their faces, and those who had mocked him the harshest before turned pale, their hearts unsettled. A few even thought to help him, but when Zhao Sun cast a cold glance their way, they shrank back immediately, silent and still. Once finished, Zhao Sun calmly set out a chair and seated himself, gazing coldly at the crowd of over 100 registered disciples. He knew this was only a portion. More would return in the days ahead to hand over their duties. From now on, you'll chop 500 pounds of firewood every day." Zhao Sun casually pointed at one man, recalling how the fellow had once mocked him in secret. The disciple froze, his face twisting into misery. "Brother Zhao, I've always worked in the kitchens. I only know how to cook. I've never chopped firewood." Zhao Sun flicked his eyes upward and gave a cold snort. "In that case, make it 1,000. With a thud, the man dropped to his knees, wailing aloud. "Brother Zhao, please. I was wrong to laugh at you before, but you can't take revenge like this. 1,000 pounds, I could never finish it. Please, 500 will do." The rest of the disciples exchanged looks, startled. They had expected Zhao Sun might make things difficult, but this was not mere difficulty. It was open, deliberate vengeance. At once, several voices rose from the crowd. "Don't listen to him. Let's go to the elders and demand justice. Replace him with someone else." "That's right. If they refuse, we'll kneel outside the hall until they agree." "Exactly. Let's go. He's just a petty man drunk on power. What's he got to boast about? He only entered this sect by faking suicide. What a disgrace." The shouting grew louder, until at last more than 10 stormed out, cursing as they went, heading straight for the main hall to demand redress. Zhao Sun leaned back in his chair, utterly unbothered, even quietly hopeful. If they succeeded, the sect master's anger would surely bring another to replace him, leaving him free to cultivate in peace. The rest of the disciples lingered, torn between leaving and staying. To go risked failure and Zhao Sen's wrath, to remain risked defending him all the same. But Zhao Sun simply waited, and before long, the group that had gone to complain returned, their heads hanging low. This time there were no shouts, no anger, only silence, and eyes filled with. Seeing the expressions on their faces, Zhao Sun understood at once that their petition had failed. A trace of disappointment crossed his features. He thought to himself that this was still insufficient. He would have to make the matter larger. With that in mind, he curled his lips slightly, swept his gaze over the crowd, and said, "You who mock me in secret, listen carefully. I'm here today to take revenge. If any of you are unhappy, go to the elders and complain. If anyone manages to drive me out of this chore's office, I'll thank them for it." Immediately someone dropped to his knees and begged, "Brother Zhao, have mercy. Spare us. Please, Brother Zhao, we were blind before, forgive us. I'll kowtow and beg your pardon." "Brother Zhao, they were the ones who spoke ill of you. I didn't say anything. I even defended you back then." Before the man could finish, another voice cut in. "Don't listen to Wang Shaoer, he was the one who insulted you the most. Brother Zhao, don't believe him. Wang Shaosen, you hear me? When we get back to the room, I'll teach you a lesson." Wang Shaoer scowled, furious. "I only did it for family righteousness," one pleaded. "Please, Brother Zhao, give me lighter work." "Don't listen to those two, they always echo each other," another protested. "I'm the one who never spoke ill of you." A girl with a pleasant face stepped forward with a pitiful look. "Brother Zhao, I've had poor health since childhood. I can't do heavy labor. How about I come at night to massage your shoulders and back?" Female registered disciples were few in the Penglai Pavilion, and thus much coddled. Their pleas, by themselves, carried a subtle tone of favor-seeking. Another female disciple fluttered a glance and cooed, Brother, Lu never made me do heavy work, just come serve him at night. I know several sisters, I'll bring them by tonight if you like." Voices rose and fell as each person hurried to profess their innocence. Zhao Sun, growing weary of a noise, snapped, "Shut up. All of you, stop the nonsense." He pointed at a man with casual precision. "You water-bearing, 20 jars a day. If you're not satisfied, take it up with the elders." The man trembled, stammering, then, seeing impatience in Zhao Sen's face, plastered on a smile, and hurried to agree. Another was singled out. "You washing, 500 pounds a day. Remember, if you're unhappy, complain to the elders." The man's eyes went dark, and he nearly fainted, muttering, 500 pounds. That must be the entire sect's clothes combined. "You sanitation. The whole compound's cleaning is on you. Same rule. If you're unsatisfied, see the elders. And you clean the latrines. If I find even one fly inside, you'll be living there for a long while." Zhao Sun spoke evenly, but each command landed like a heavy blow. Silence spread through the crowd. Only muffled sobs and low murmurs remained. He knew that today's assignments would punish those who had once mocked him, and would also make anyone thinking of driving him away reconsider carefully. Zhao Sun scanned the crowd, a smirk tugging at his lips. "If I want to make this mess big enough, I'll have to push even harder." He jabbed a finger at one poor soul. "You go collect herbs. 500 pounds a day. If you try to fool me with weeds, I'll break your legs and throw you out of the sect." The place went dead silent. 500 pounds. Everyone knew even if you stripped the whole mountain bare, you wouldn't find that much. The unlucky disciple's knees buckled, and he fainted on the spot. One by one, Zhao Sun called out names, piling on impossible tasks, hauling water, washing clothes, scrubbing the entire sect, even cleaning the latrines, complete with the threat, "If I see a single fly inside, you'll be living there." He knew perfectly well no one could keep up. Their only choice was to run crying to the elders. But if the higher-ups still turned a blind eye, well, then he'd just make the scandal louder, until the whole sect realized keeping him in charge was a disaster. Then, out of nowhere, he pointed at a fresh face. "You. Lucky day for you, your job's simple. Keep track of gifts. Write down who gives what and when. Every single item. But if you get greedy, you're out. The disciple dropped to his knees, banging his head on the ground, swearing he'd never make a mistake. The others? Stunned. The last steward, Lu, had always tried to keep things shady and hidden. But Zhao Sun? He was extorting bribes openly, like it was the most natural thing in the world. Sure enough, one disciple rushed forward, holding out 3 family visit talismans with both hands. "Senior brother Zhao, please accept this humble gift." Zhao Sun snorted, pocketed them, and asked lazily, "What task did I give you again?" Water hauling. 20 barrels a day," the man stammered. "Make it 5, Zhao Sun said casually. The disciple nearly wept with joy, kowtowing over and over. That was all it took. The others started shifting restlessly, ready to offer their own tributes. Zhao Sun stood, waving them off. "Enough. Here's the rule. If you want a bribe, do it properly. Write down your current task and the one you want instead. Deliver it to my man. Rotates every 10 days. Then he turned on his heel, slammed his door shut, and left them all standing there with their bitterness. When the courtyard finally emptied, Zhao Sun came out again, searching the grounds. At last, he found a hidden little storage room. It wasn't much, but it was quiet. He cleaned it up, locked the door, and sat cross-legged, slipping into his dreamscape to cultivate. And just like that, 2 months passed. Outwardly, Zhao Sun was the steward. In reality, he barely cared whether the disciples did their work. If someone slacked off, he'd just give them a cold snort, and they'd obediently cough up talismans. Still, deep down, Zhao Sun was frustrated. I've gone this far. And the elders still won't replace me? Just what are they thinking? Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed my video, please leave a comment, give it a like, and share it with others. Your support gives me even more motivation.